guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of CryptoZombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having an awesome day today. Bitcoin sitting at 0.07%. What is going on? We basically haven't even moved since yesterday. Everyone is on the edge of their seats. Come on, Bitcoin. Would you just do something?
What are you waiting for, huh?
Anyway, having a look right here, you could see that we did try to break out yesterday. We got up to $9,000, almost $900, had an instant rejection, but then we got bought back up at the $9,550 level. It is bulls versus bears today, but I want to show you one chart in particular, this one, which might actually indicate what the Bitcoin whales are actually doing. This has actually provided some clear direction in the past. I also want to show you one very interesting fractal, also based on a 2013 move that Bitcoin had, which, yes, if Bitcoin does follow this fractal, we're looking at a $75,000 Bitcoin within a few months. Now, I know what you're saying. That sounds absolutely crazy. However, just to point out what Jason said, Hertz is up 870% this week. So we've also seen the fact that the stock markets are basically printing an all-time high. However, as of today, we have started to trend in the opposite direction. So was that it? Is it the ultimate top fake out? I want to talk about all that today. I also want to go into proof showing you that the Bitcoin miner capitulation is 100% over with. We do have some big news for crypto adoption, as well as a Bitcoin movie that is being made based on the Winklevoss twins. We're going to get into all that today. If that sounds good to you, you know what to do. Hope you got your seatbelt strapped, because it is going to be a bumpy ride for Bitcoin. Today is the day. We're going to talk about that. Let's do it. Yeah, we're also going to give away a ledger at the end of today's video, since we didn't make a video yesterday. If that sounds good to you, get subscribed if you're not, and let's dive directly in. So, Bitcoin testing this green trend that we've been bouncing off of. You can see right back here, it was acting as some major resistance. We finally got above it. Every single time Bitcoin bounces back, we find support at this level. Look at this level just holding. Right here, we had a little bit of a a bear trap. Then again, we came below it, and right now we're sitting on that line again. But here's the even more interesting chart to show you guys. We have finally come to the absolute end of this triangle. Essentially, Bitcoin has nowhere else to go. I mean, technically, could we bounce around in it one more day, putting in minuscule 0.01% moves? It's possible, guys, but let's be honest, Bitcoin is ready for a massive move, either to the break outside of this heart line at around the $11,000 level, or we could be looking for a potential dump down to even $8,000. Now, you can see right here, lots of people are talking about the NASDAQ right now breaking its all-time high ever. In these situations, in these times, something is not right, guys, with everything that's going on right now. But I guess markets don't have to behave rationally now, do they? But today we have started to actually put in a bit of a red candle, which means that this could be the top of the markets, and we could be looking for a major reversal. Now, obviously, I have no way of knowing. It literally just opened. It's the morning when I'm making this video, but you could see right here, having a look at Bitcoin futures. Over here, we are putting in a bit of a red doji candle on the weekly, which basically shows us that Bitcoin has absolutely no idea what it wants to do. The markets are in complete indecision, and bulls versus bears are basically going head to head right now. Now, I will point out that we did put in a little bit of a triangle right here this morning, that we did have a breakout, but you can see for the most part, it just seems to be fake outs to the upside, and it does look like, having a look, if we don't break out, Bitcoin kind of has more room to the downside. Now, if Bitcoin was to break to the downside, maybe by the time you're watching this video, we could see Bitcoin potentially fall down all the way to maybe the low 9,000s short term. However, I would like to see us supported by this previous resistance turn support, which is this giant blue triangle, the top part of it right here. So you might see Bitcoin come down, retest the 9,493 level, and then try to once again break through that $9,800 resistance. Now, we did put in the number 9 on the TD sequential, which basically says that's it, rally's over, it's time for a dump. However, I do want to point out the last time that we put in a 9 back here, we did actually continue to the upside and put in the yearly high for 2019. So you always have to take these with a grain of salt. You never really know what these indicators, let's just put it this way. There's always an opportunity for an indicator to be wrong, right? And past performance does not indicate future results. But the one thing I do want to point out is that we are still well above the closings as far as the resistance. But if we take it from wick to wick, you could see right here that we are actually held below it, which means there is a lot of resistance, a lot of pressure from the upside, okay? Now, having a look right here, this is the chart that I wanted to talk about essentially, and this is pointed out from Coiner Yadox, and he says, I never noticed this before, but Bitfinex whales are kindly giving us direction. So what are we looking at right now? Well, essentially you can see right here that this chart shows Bitcoin's price alongside the Bitfinex order book dominance bands, okay? Basically, it's just a heat map that shows buy side and sell side orders of the markets. Well, the dominance bands last time showed a strong order book support when Bitcoin was trading at around the $6,700 level, and well, you could see what happened. So it's actually suggesting that Bitcoin is looking for a move to the upside within the coming weeks. Now, this does not mean that short term we couldn't have a break to the downside. These markets are not going to break 10,000 easy. They are not going to do it without shaking some people out of the markets. Maybe we've already done it. Maybe we have more to go. But I do want to point out what Timothy Peterson said over here. And this is a crazy prediction. This isn't my prediction. I'm just showing you what he's saying. He says that the 2020 Bitcoin recovery has tracked the 2013 A recovery. Now he says A because he has A versus B, because 2013 had two major dumps followed by recoveries. But if we look at the first one, it's almost exactly perfectly replicating it. You could see the blue, the light blue over the blue dotted line. And basically he says we could be weeks away from a $75,000 Bitcoin. Now, I can already hear people screaming out there. That sounds incredible. $75,000 Bitcoin, we'd have to go up over 750x to get to that point. I understand. That is pretty crazy. You can see even Roman Winters said, this is irresponsible hopium. You're selling. Nobody knows when or if Bitcoin will ever get to 75K. That is true. He does say, however, that there are few people in the world that have put more into Bitcoin valuation research than himself, and he says, I'll put any of my published research up against your silly tweets any day, which he does point out right here, all of the papers that he has worked on. So 750% increase. Well, as I started out the video, Hertz is up 870% in the past 2 weeks, even with its little dump right here. Let's go from top to bottom. Yeah, Hertz is actually up 960%. So anything can happen in these crazy financial times, including the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency markets. However, interesting chart from Willy Woo. He says, I made a new live chart for gold bugs. $1 invested over 10.7 years. Today's value in Bitcoin would be 12.8 million, a luxury yacht, whereas gold would be $1.66. Basically a Snickers bar. And if you're curious, where even is gold on this chart? Oh, guys, it's this little brown line down here. Yeah, not very impressive. But according to data from BitInfo charts on May 2nd, the average transaction fee on the Bitcoin network hit very high levels. Lots of criticism coming out about this. However, as of May 20th, it has started to decline. The average Bitcoin transaction is now down to $1. I know what you're saying. $1, that is still way too high. Well, here's the thing. We have to stop comparing Bitcoin, which is an actual hard asset that you're physically sending, to Venmo and PayPal and credit card swipes, which are basically glorified IOU systems. So yes, when you get a PayPal or a Venmo or swipe your debit or credit card and have the transaction instantly go through, keep in mind that other person is not actually instantly receiving the funds, okay? So you have to look at that, and not to mention the fact that we do have a lot of second layer solutions coming out for Bitcoin. Also, as far as the Bitcoin miner capitulation, death spiral, ultimate crazy massive dump from the miners is concerned, well, we're currently in the fastest difficulty era since 2014. In fact, the current block interval is around 8 minutes and 5 seconds, which is actually 2 minutes lower than the average block time for Bitcoin at around 10 minutes. Also, big news for Hollywood. Stampede Ventures, a production company owned by ex-Warner Brothers president Greg Silverman, has partnered with both of the Winklevoss twins, probably should just call them the Winklevoss twins, I'm sure they wouldn't be happy if I called them that, to produce a movie featuring the brothers' story as portrayed in the best-selling Bitcoin book called Bitcoin Billionaires, which was written by Ben Mesrick. Now, Silverman is going to be co-producing the movie along with John Berg, who, if you don't know who that is, he is also responsible for work on such movies as Aquaman and Wonder Woman. So, pretty interesting, guys. It's just going to be more mainstream exposure to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, not to mention the fact that we do have congressional candidate Jonathan Herzog that believes that the U.S. government needs to embrace crypto and blockchain. Now, keep in mind, I did mention him in my, was it the last video or the video before? Now, he was a founding member of Andrew Yang's presidential campaign, who was pretty vocal about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. He says he has borrowed some from that campaign. Now, he is running on a progressive platform, universal basic income, universal health care, publicly funded elections, and, of course, national cryptocurrency regulation. To quote him, he says, "I am here to fight for the future that we are building together, a decentralized, open source future, and Bitcoin and Ethereum and decentralized blockchains are a part of that parcel as well." He says the government has shown its impotence in heading the pandemic, and basically he says, unfortunately, it just illustrated the institutional collapse that the crypto community has been calling out now for a decade, but it's really coming to the forefront in this moment of crisis on top of crisis on top of crisis. But I do want to just point out some good news. We do have a Bitcoin-powered African startup dealing with green energy. Sun Exchange has closed its Series A funding round with $3 million. Now, what separates this from some of these other things we've seen, like Power Ledger and other companies? Well, I don't want to take it away from some of the great work that those guys are doing, but instead of having to use a random altcoin, they actually are doing this with Bitcoin. Basically, you buy a solar panel, then they arrange the exchange for a customer who needs electricity. It collects the money from the customers, and basically it sends that to your wallet either as dollars or, you guessed it, Bitcoin. And finally, I do want to show you that we do have some adoption. We do have Centrapay, who is working with some Coca-Cola companies in Australia and New Zealand to basically allow you to purchase soda using Bitcoin. Here's a video.
Hey, I'm Alice from Centrapay, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to buy a product from a Coca-Cola Amateur vending machine using digital assets. First, you're going to need to download the Silo Smart Wallet. Then select a product in the vending machine and scan a QR code to pay.
So there you have it. Now, for those of you screaming this is not Satoshi's vision, well, I just went into the fact that we do use things like PayPal and Venmo and credit cards. So yes, if you want to send the hard asset of Bitcoin, I think $1 is relatively cheap to send money across the world without an intermediary. But if you want to buy a Coca-Cola, well, then you can download this app. So there you go. And also, friendly reminder, the Burr meme has been around since the Lincoln era. Apparently, you can see Brad Mills points out the meme goes all the way back to the 1800s when Lincoln issued the greenback to help fight the Civil War. It was a fiat currency, not backed by gold. And there you go. He is spinning the money printing machine. And on that note, guys, I do think it is time to give away our Ledger Nano S for the week. So we did have 5 videos last week. We must do this out of 5. Generate video number 5. So that is literally the last video that we put out. That was Bitcoin ready for its explosive move, which it is still going to have an explosive move. Maybe by the time you're watching it, we've already had that move. So let's pick a random comment. Drum roll, please, for the Ledger. Love the enthusiasm on your channel. Thinking blast off on Monday. I would love that Ledger. Well, we attempted the blast off on Monday. We actually did have the wick to the top. We did get up to the $9,900 region. We found ourselves back where we are, but I mean, like I said, having a look at this chart, yeah, Bitcoin really doesn't have anywhere else to go. So yeah, I mean, we're looking at either tomorrow, maybe guys. I mean, we're going to have a look at that, but congratulations, you are the winner. So you know what to do, Gerard. Hit me up in my official about section or in my official Telegram. I will not comment below. I do not leave giveaways in the comments, nothing like that. You guys know, lots of scammers these days. Be safe out there. Congratulations. So that's it for me today, guys. My name is K-Dub. This is CryptoZombie. Until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.